In this video, I'm going to talk about um, one of the hardest things to do. Probably the hardest thing for probably everyone, which is to forgive. And I'm talking about this because this weekend, I met up with a friend, and I think her story is a great example of the importance of why it is important to forgive people and just move on. And like my thumbnail says, my friend is a singer in South Korea. I don't know where to begin because I can talk about my story, my own personal experiences, where working in media, I had to deal with a lot of people, a lot of monsters. But in the end, I realized it's much better for my life. It's better for my life to just move on, to not waste my time and energy and just forget about it, learn lessons, and just move on. And what can you do from these experiences? Well, one of the things that you can learn from it is you can first of all, you can learn about yourself. And secondly, you can kind of see it coming when you're dealing with somebody who's probably going to take advantage of you, use you, and feel no guilt over it. So I'm just gonna talk about this friend. Actually, I didn't really spend so much time with her. I got to know her through my social media, and because I wrote a lot of I spoke up my mind. Every time I want to say something, and I say it there. And because of this, there are pros and cons. One good advantage is because you open up yourself so much that people will come to you and they'll be honest with you. They'll even tell you all the stories that they are not going to share with other people because I open up myself first. And you'll get to know great people when you have your guard down. Others, most likely, will have their guard down. Of course, some cases, probably more than some, because you're so honest about it, people can also manipulate you. And that's the risk you have to take. And because I've been on the social media for, 15 years from now, I've met so many people. And I've had a lot of experiences. One of the cons is that because you're honest, there are people who will use you, manipulate you, because you have opened up. You have opened the information about yourself. They'll know your weaknesses, and they'll know what you are after, what you want, what you desire. So they will just use you and they'll throw you away like some garbage. So this friend, I'm by the way, soon to be 46. A few days I'll be 46. And she's about 2 years or a year younger than me. So she's been around in this business, in the entertainment business for a while, for I say probably 20 years. And she told me a lot of stories, like many other people I described. Like she met with so many narcissists. And one of my ex-girlfriends, she was also a singer too. And she lost her career in half of her 20s because of there was this dispute, her sexual harassment case. So I'm filled up with a lot of stories and I have great empathy for them. And so this girl, not talking about my ex-girlfriend, but my friend, Should I just give her name? Say her name is Jen, like Jennifer, Jen. So Jen, in her 20s, because she was celebrity, she was singer, she thought that, and she still has, she still thinks there's nothing wrong with it. I don't know what it is, but I don't have this belief, but a lot of people in the media and a lot of celebrities believe that because they have a lot to offer as to the other opposite gender, they have high value as a girlfriend or perhaps even a boyfriend. They tend to have they then tend to date people who are in high demand. So put it this easily, what I'm trying to say is, so this girl Jen used to date a lot of rich guys because she felt that she deserved it because she was a singer. Of course, she was very attractive. I kind of talked about this. We kind of argued over this. I mean, it wasn't even debate because we're just having a friendly dinner. And she still believes. I pointed out that it is, I think there's ironic why, because you date these guys because of what they can offer you. So there's nothing wrong with them being the same way. They'll think of you as kind of a commodity too because they don't think of it as this human. They dated you because like you had your needs, they had their needs too. And then she was just kind of offended, and because I didn't want to offend her. So first I was beating around the bush. I was being very indirect, right? But then I realized the conversation wasn't really going anywhere. So I started becoming more and more straightforward. And at one point she just told me that this is something that was making her emotional. But what I told her was that, well, you don't want to, because she kept saying, well, who's not irony? Like, who doesn't have irony? Human beings are the beings of ironies. And I said, sure, that's correct. But personal growth, growing up, means you have to think about this, your own self-contradictions. Because when you're a kid, when you're a child, you don't objectively assess yourself. You just go out there and just say, hey, I think I'm the best in this field. I'm the best person, whatever. And also I deserve this because I want this, I want that. And as you grow up, you realize there are standards to meet. And when you become this way, you have to also expect the other person to be the same way. If you're not sincere, you cannot expect the other person to be sincere with you. And this is called part of the growing up process. And she just couldn't answer. She couldn't say more. She didn't have any additional points. And one of the reasons why we don't want to have this self-contradictions is because as you live your life, sometimes you feel like you made these efforts, you worked hard, or you're really good to this person, but then you don't get anything returned. Like the life is so unfair, it seems. And at the end of the day, you realize why you were being treated unfairly, why you didn't get what you deserved after being very nice to the other person, after making these efforts. That's because you had this self-contradictions. You weren't being objective. You weren't thinking objectively of the situation and of yourself and of the other person. And that's why she ended up just dating all these bad guys, like manipulative guys. And I was just telling her, you know why? You know why you were dating this? You fell into this vicious cycle. That's because it was very clear what you wanted, and you only thought of yourself. You didn't think from the other person's shoe. perspective. Because a lot of times it's very easy to identify liars. But when you're so focused on your own needs, when you are just about you, or me, you realize you're blinded. You don't, like anyone else can see the person. He's a liar. He's using you. But you cannot see it because you cannot objectively evaluate the situation or the person's acts. And I'm talking about this because what she did, what she was trying to do at the dinner table, because she did exactly what she used to do in her 20s when she says she kept on dating these manipulated people. So let me tell you what she did. So last week we had a talk, we said hello to each other. It's been a while. It's been a year since we spoke last time. I was very glad to talk to her, and we were like, okay, as we were on the phone and we were saying we should meet up. That was like 3 days ago. This weekend, Saturday. I was working. I was getting off work. I had my own job, right, in Seoul. And she calls me while I was driving. She calls me and she says, where are you now? Do you want to meet up? Do you want to come over? Just 1 or 2 sentences. And I was just kind of surprised. She didn't ask me how I was doing, or there was no hello, hi. And she didn't ask like if it was okay for her to talk to me. I told her, well, I'm getting off my work. And it was very obvious that I was driving. And she just told me, I'm over here. Why don't you come over? Very one-sided. So I was like, okay, well, I know my impression is this girl's a nice person, so I gave her benefit of doubt. And then a few minutes later, she calls me. She just asked me one question. Where are you? As if like she was my boss. As if I was supposed to meet up with her at the exact time that she wanted me to show up at. And I told her I would be there in a minute. And she was supposed to be like waiting on me near Starbucks or something. And then she's like, well, why don't you, I called her again, like I was on not pedestrian walk. I was on this, I had to just kind of park my car on the sideway or something, the sidewalk. I briefly explained my situation. And she's like, well, then make a right. She just sounded like she was giving me orders. I guess in some cultures, it is okay at this point to say, I don't know, just talking about this reminded me of another girl, crazy girl. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had most of the girls I had a date with. They were nice, but there have been some exceptional cases. Just reminded me of this. She's a TV personality now. She won a beauty pageant a few years ago, and this girl made the exact same mistake. And I usually give, whether a girl or boy, a man or woman, I usually try to give benefit of doubt in a few occasions, and then like when I become positive that it is really her, not anything else, like she having a bad day or something, or even me, and then I become confrontational. Anyway, so going back to the story, I meet up with her. She just kind of like, oh, go park there. It's just like I kind of noticed like what was coming out of her mouth was just all orders. And at this point, I was still like, all right, whatever. And let's see like why she wanted to see me. So we go to this restaurant. We sit down. She gives me the menu and she's like, why don't you order? So I was just looking at the menu. We had a friendly chat for like a minute. And then we ordered the food together. And she goes, I need you to translate these lyrics that I've just written in Korean into English. Again, she called me out of nowhere. And then she sits me down at this dinner table. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Just yell at her and just leave? I guess some people do that, and I guess I can do that. I could have done that. But these days, I don't really do that anymore. A few years ago, I met this girl, and she was being kind of rude. I don't know why. She just became like very mean, like up. I don't know. It was just like, it's a long story, but what I'm saying is that meeting lasted like less than 40 minutes because we just, I told her, I don't think we're compatible. I don't think we should be in touch. Like, it was our first encounter too. But anyway, so at this point, I realized there's something really wrong here. And I have two choices. Because she seemed like she was very focused on what she was doing, and she seemed a little, I don't know, belligerent. Like, she seemed very aggressive, and I realized at this point I had two options. I can just be like, no, I cannot do this, and this is very wrong what you did, and just walk out of the dinner table. Or I can just try to have a conversation with her, be nice about it, and just kind of still give her benefit of doubt, as we'll have a dinner together, as I can talk it over, what exactly is going on, So I gave her benefit of doubt again. So while we were having dinner, I was asking her questions, how she was doing over the year that we didn't really talk to each other in. And I just kind of was asking her, because we do this a lot. I do this a lot with her. We talk about a lot of life issues and problems in life, just life matters, right? And philosophical matters. And she kept on telling me that because she's been a victim of so many mean people in the business, including her ex-boyfriend, who she's claimed was total narcissist. Now she made up her mind, and she decided that she will be very tough-minded. She'll not let this happen again. She'll be a snake. Well, she didn't say she'll be a snake, but she'll, like the way she said it was, I'll have to be a snake to fight the snakes, stuff like that. So I was just trying to tell her that, well, no, I see it differently. What I did for me, because I kept running into these evils, and I didn't want to cross the lines, because I knew if I fighting back is okay, right? But sometimes it is important. It is important to know that you don't become the same monster just because you think you are the right person here, you are the righteous one, you are the victim, whatever. You don't have to be exactly the same kind of person that these monsters are. I left the industry, and I'm doing much better now. I'm in a new industry. I'm content. I'm satisfied with myself, my job. I'm at peace. I'm doing a lot better financially. In all ways too. I'm more comfortable. I was in media too. I was in broadcasting while she is in the entertainment business. And because these two industries are connected, related, we have a lot of things in common. Similar type of people, because a lot of people in media, in entertainment, can be narcissists. They want attention. They love attention. That's why they work there. And I know A lot of people a lot of people become victims that they don't have chances. So you have two choices. You can be one of them, or you can fight back. I don't know how. Well, you don't have money, power, connections, right people, supporters. You're just on your own. I don't know how to fight back. So you can do that, or you can just leave. It is not for you. I'm sorry, but you're not lucky. You need luck to succeed, to do well in some industries. And I believe entertainment and media are among those industries where you need luck. You need a lot of luck. You need luck to be famous because you need to, first of all, you need to meet the right people, producers, directors, colleagues, supporters, fans, and you need to debut in the right time too. There are so many things you need, and they're all out of your control. I mean, you can be the most talented person in the industry. You can be the best singer, but you still may not get the acknowledgement for many reasons. I mean, this is true for other countries too. So what I did was, instead of being part of the system, I left it. I mean, I'm not all passionate about my job as much as I used to be in the media business. But I'm pretty content. I'm pretty comfortable now. I love kids. That's one of the reasons why I'm here in my new industry, education. I mean, I'm not all obsessed and razor sharp focused on being successful, but I'm comfortable. Well, she kept on citing this Korean drama that's popular these days. I think it's called The Glory. And she says, well, I've heard a lot of lines. The characters say a lot of things that are very relatable or something. And this is just drama, man. I mean, dramas are for fun. There are some literary works that are greatly readable, regardless of the time or the place. You just enjoy the drama. You don't really pay that much attention to what the characters say. Dramas do not even reflect the reality. And based on her experiences, her first-hand experiences, and second-hand experiences, like the dramas, the mean people always win. So she thinks that she has to have this evil in her to survive. And I was like, okay, I just couldn't. At one point I realized I just couldn't talk to her anymore. Because we're just totally different values. I mean, toward the end of the dinner, we were talking about her dating experiences in her 20s. Because I told her a couple of years ago, I was almost forced to show up in this blind date set up by my parents. They lied to me about it because they knew that I'm not into these kind of things. And of course, at the other end of the table, there was sitting a girl who was a billionaire. She just didn't have a chance to meet up guys because she just was so busy working, studying, and going to church. And she was even attractive. She was tall, but I just walked out of the table. I mean, I didn't walk out of the table, like literally. I just tried to be nice to her. We had a good dinner, good dialogue, and never asked for another date. And later, I learned that she felt very rejected, and she said something like, well, in reference to me, that guy sounded like he never really achieved anything. He never had any achievement in his life. She even badmouthed me because I hurt her ego. And I told Jen about this. And Jen didn't get it. Why? Why did you think too much? You thought too much. And I told her, well, I have to think too much because I have to think a lot because marriage is not something you can just get over, you have to be with a person for all your life. Because she was saying that, oh, you were thinking too ahead of time. How do you know I would have married her if she had that much money? And I was like, well, do you know what it's like to be in a miserable marriage? It is okay for you to be miserable, but what about your kids? What about other people? But she was just being, I guess it wasn't really important. It was not very important for her. And then we moved on to her topic, her experiences in her 20s. And she was saying, well, because I was a singer, I was pretty, there was no question that I would date a rich man. But none of them were being nice to me. They were all bad boyfriend. And that's when I realized there's total self-contradiction here. While you dated them for their values, like commodities, what is wrong with them doing the same thing to you? And then she started getting defensive. I mean, I wasn't being that straightforward, but she was being defensive. She was like, well, doesn't everyone have self-contradiction? And I realized, okay, this is why she's been acting this way. She treats me like commodity. So I told her at the end of the dinner, tell me what this lyrics is about. I'll send you text. I'll work on it. I just want to get out of the dinner table and just leave. Just go home. No matter how pretty she is, I still felt like she's a monster. I started feeling like she's a monster. And she even had me drop her off. I was driving my car. She even had me drop her off right in front of her house. While it could have just taken her 2 minutes to walk home. And on the way back home, I took out my cell phone. I knew what I was going to do. I voice recorded myself. I still was being nice to her. I didn't want to get too attacky. I explained to her why I cannot do this for you. First of all, you treat me like you're my boss. Secondly, this is not how you work. You are an artist. You know better. You cannot just force somebody to show up at a time at the place that at your own convenience and have the person work for you. That's not how artists work. We need our environment. We need time to think about things. We're not robots. I'm not your robot. And thirdly, I was saying, well, if you meant a business, you should have just brought a contract. But you're just using a person while playing a victim of those narcissists, those manipulated people. She was being exactly the same way. And what is actually worse, but she's worse, I believe. Because you know why? Because she's the victim. She knows what it's like when someone does that to you. But she's still doing it because she thinks, well, it's time for her to strike back to the real world. And I'm going to use one of the nice guys around me. You see, like I said, actually I said this to her in the dinner table. You know why you don't want to be a snake? You know why you don't want to be manipulative? Because it is not your game. Because you're not going to win it when you're not playing your game. This is not about whether nice people finish the last. It's not about religion. This is not about karma. This is not about philosophy. I'm talking business. I'm talking strategy here. You have not been snake all your life. Now you're claiming that it is necessary evil. You have to be a snake. And you know why I decided to leave the industry? Not be the snake like this girl is doing now? Because I knew if I'm not being myself, I will never win. And most importantly, I will lose everything that I already have. I'll lose the people. I'll lose probably money. I'll lose other assets. And when you do not see the importance of what you already have, you're not thankful for it, you're going to lose it. Because you're taking for granted. You're taking for granted the people that support you, that love you, that are being honest and sincere with you. You're going to lose those people. And you'll be left with nobody, nothing. This is why the victims of narcissists or people who are manipulative should never strike back by being the same, by being part of the system, or by just becoming similar to them. You just be yourself. Well, nice guys finish last. So be it. It is not the worst case scenario. A lot of people cannot even finish the race. At least you'll get to finish the race. Well, I'm not saying I'm nice, I've done a lot of horrible things in the past. And I still do some horrible things. And in a way, I'm also manipulative too. I think I can be manipulative too. There are also evils inside me. But the most important thing is, do not ever change yourself because you feel like you have to strike back. You have to be rewarded for your past pain or your efforts that were not rewarded in the past. Never. Because you will start losing what you already have. And everything's going to be gone. So how do you deal with it? Move on. Try new things. Move to different place, different industry. Start from step one again. And if that's impossible, then try to enjoy your life as much as you can. Don't stress yourself out Don't stress out yourself to death. It is okay. You do your best. You be yourself. Be happy. Enjoy your life. If you're not likely to be successful, then get a hobby. Enjoy your life. And time will come if you're well prepared. And even if the time doesn't come, if you had done your best, just accept it. Accept yourself. Just accept the results, the outcome. Forgive if you have done yourself. If you've done the best. And lastly, you know what? I was telling her this. Like a lot of my celebrity friends, or former former K-pop singers, and I usually have singers, not actors. Most of my friends, celebrity friends, friends from who used to be in the entertainment business are singers. We talk about this a lot. We talk about how some idol singers, they make silly choices. Sometimes they commit suicide because something goes wrong, and they feel like they have lost everything. I don't know everything. I don't know what all the stories. I know I know my knowledge is very limited, but that's not the point here. So my former celebrity friends and I talk about this. The success doesn't come very fast for you, for us. Or may not come at all, ever. But what matters is, as you try hard, constantly work, you keep running to failures, and failures. And you learn to be strong. And at one point you realize that nothing matters if you don't enjoy it. Nothing matters if you're not happy. And this is why whatever the outcome is of your work, it cannot make you a slave, cannot master your emotions. Walk away, man, if you feel like you're being slave of something, because your happiness will not be controlled by yourself. Someone else or other people will control your happiness, your emotions. So in good times, you feel happy, extremely good about yourself. But what about in bad times? Are you going to feel like the worst human being in the world? Just screw it. Just move on. Not worth it. You be yourself. If the world cannot accept you, just live with it. It's fine. Love yourself the way you are. Accept yourself the way you are. You'll still be fine. You'll be happy. Regardless of the things you cannot control.